Welcome back, you guys. Peace and blessings, and welcome to another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast, where we hold space for the stories that shape us, that the silence we outgrow and the power we reclaim. We value, celebrate, and inspire Black women worldwide. Today's episode features Trisheena, aka Miss T, writer, mother, artist, and one of the women whose voices anchors the Dear Black Woman anthology. Remember, we're on a series with this particular season of this podcast where we are featuring all of the women that are co-authors in the Dear Black Woman anthology. Her letter is a layered offering of memories, of pain, and of transformation. Trisheena writes from a place of a hard-won clarity. She explores the complexity of healing without pretending it's linear. She questions forced forgiveness, redefines love, and reclaims the narrative of her own life in a voice that is both fierce and vulnerable. This conversation is about the quiet power of remembering, the strength to take it it takes to speak, and the sacred act of choosing yourself. So if you are ready, I know I'm ready. Let's introduce Trisheena, Miss T, to the stage. Hello, Miss T.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing great today. It's gloomy, but I have my tea and I'm feeling good.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing your voice with us here on the Dear Black Woman podcast. But I also want to just say thank you for sharing your story with us in the Dear Black Woman anthology. That's the most important. And I cannot wait for the book to come out. So, you guys, let's jump right into it. Miss T, how are you feeling about sharing your story today?
I'm feeling progressive with sharing my story. Healing has been very essential for my well-being, and as I continue to share my story, as I continue to heal out loud, I find myself at a different level of healing and wellness. So I'm feeling very good about it today.
Now, what motivated you to join this anthology project and write this letter to your inner child?
It was actually, I saw a hashtag called Healing Out Loud, and it really brought to mind the ways that I can share my gift of writing poetry, of being an artist, of relating to other women, of encouraging women. Someone also called me a vessel of support. And I was just like taken aback. Wow, what do you mean? And joining this project really it shines light on how I can use my gifts to help other women who may find themselves coming from a similar standpoint.
I love that. Now, when you began writing, what came up first? Emotions, memories, or clarity?
I would say memories, because emotions is something that was very difficult for me. I was taught to not have emotions. The only emotion I saw expressed appropriately was anger growing up. So when it came to me learning how to accept my emotions, how to express them appropriately, it kind of came in hindsight. Like, okay, why did I paint that picture? And then putting the puzzle pieces in the correct places, that was sadness. I was sad. Let me sit in that for a while, and then learning to feel my emotions and then express them appropriately. It was something that came in hindsight. So memories definitely was the first thing.
Okay. Now, did you write this letter from the version of yourself that needed love, answers, or both?
I wrote this letter from the version of myself that had a lot of answers and that's just ready to be heard.
Okay.
Um, yes.
Now, what was your intention behind this letter? Not just for yourself, but for the women who might read it.
It's My intentions were um to show that I don't need validation to accept where I am in my life. I don't need validation to be sad, to be angry. I don't need your permission to be upset, to have rage. I'm not seeking validation. I am here and I'm going nowhere.
Okay. Now, what did it take for you to give yourself permission to tell the truth out loud?
It actually took for me to approach someone who has violated me in the past and to have them deny my experience and
Mm.
deny my emotions and basically to dismiss me. And feeling that gave me permission to never seek that type of validation again.
Now, in your letter, you use repetition and rhythm intentionally. What role does writing play in your healing process?
Writing plays such an intricate role. I can sometimes I don't know how to express something that I'm feeling. Sometimes I will process it days, months, years later. But I will write from a place that I'm not even sure has one in the forefront of my mind. And then I'll go back and read that poem or go back and read that line or stanza or whatever it may be. And then I'll place it that way.
Now, you in your story, you challenged the idea that forgiveness should be automatic. How did you come to that realization?
Because I was forced to forgive someone who wasn't sorry.
Mm,
And I was forced to forgive my protector to protect my to I'm sorry. I was forced to forgive my abuser to protect him over myself.
mm.
And realizing that my behavior was protecting my abuser while I was kind of left abandoned really put that in an appropriate place for me. I shouldn't be forced to forgive anyone. And it sparked a level of anger in me that I never want to experience again. I wanted to heal from.
I like that. It seems like what you're saying is it sort of forced you into silence as opposed to speaking your voice. Now, I can tell that because there's a theme of silence throughout your story. Can you talk
Yes.
about the power of breaking in, the power in breaking it, in breaking your silence and learning to use your voice?
Growing up, I was taught to be silent. I was taught that my experiences were not important. I was taught that my feelings were not important. And being silent, people pleasing became comfortable for me. I would mold and adjust to whatever the atmosphere was. I would mold and adjust to whatever I was supposed to be in that moment around my family, around my parents. And that girl inside of me, she had no voice. And I would say maybe 20 years ago, I wrote a 4-line poem about a little girl who had no voice. And I found that poem as an adult, and it invoked a lot of emotion in me. And I just kept building on it and building on it until I grew to the point where I didn't want to be silent anymore. I wanted to give her a voice.
Okay. Now, how did you know when the right time was to speak?
I don't think you know. I think when you open your mouth and the right words come out and they fall on the right ears, that is the moment. Because you could speak your story to so many people who won't listen. And it will cause you to want to be more silent. But when you speak your story and it's absorbed by the proper energy and the people that are most loving and supportive, that's when you know you found your people. I wrote a monologue a couple of years ago about my experience with my mom, and I was on stage speaking it. And when I got off the stage, I still didn't know the impact at that point. But when I got off of the stage, there was a woman who might have been 85 years old with tears running down her face. And she said, "Thank you for telling my story." And she just kept saying it. "Thank you for telling my story." And she hugged me and she held on to me. And I was just like, wow, the impact. Like maybe I'm moving in the right direction. And you just put one foot in front of the other. Even though you don't know where you're going, you put one foot in front of the other. And that's how I came to know.
I love that. Now, in your story, you use the word protection often. What does
Mhm.
protection look like for you today, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually?
Spiritual protection means to me that I want to protect the energy of someone who I'm responsible for. And I mainly speak about my children as being people that I'm responsible for. And I want to protect their energy, which means whoever they are as people, I give them enough room and space to be whoever they would like to be, to speak their minds. I tell them all the time, sometimes you have to shake tables even where I'm seated, because your voice is strong and there's power in your choices, and you have to do what you have to do that feels right in that moment. Emotional protection is kind of the same, actually. When you're allowed to feel what you feel and someone tells you, your feelings are valid. I tell my children that all the time. Your feelings are valid. Your anger may be misplaced, but your feelings are valid. And you do with that what you can and what you need to. So today it looks like freedom. It looks like somebody loving you enough to let you be who you are authentically.
I love that. Now, what lessons have boundaries taught you about self love and self preservation?
Life taught me that I know I'm an empath, but it taught me to wrap boundaries around that and to understand when I'm giving too much of myself and when I'm not taking care of myself and when I need to pull back and withdraw, and to give myself plenty of grace for those days when I'm withdrawing, just as much as I give myself to when I give of every drop in my cup, um,
Yeah.
to love myself the same both of those times.
Now, in your story, you also describe love with complexity. What have you learned about what love is not? Because, see, that's important. I don't think people understand. We talk about what love is, but what have you learned about what love is not?
Love does not hurt.
Say that.
That is,
Wait. I'm going to repeat. Let me see. You know how they say that again for the people in the back that didn't hear you.
love does not hurt. It won't have you questioning yourself. It won't have you questioning their patterns. Because even someone who loves you, if they hurt you, they will come back around. Hey, you okay? I noticed that you feel away. I noticed that I did or said this. Is there any way I can fix it? Love always checks on you, but love doesn't hurt.
Now, how has motherhood sort of reshaped your understanding of love and safety?
Becoming a mother was the most single handedly the most important and spiritual thing I think I've ever experienced. Um, Immediately, this part of myself opened up to pour into these little people that I've been responsible of caring for. And it really taught me that there's a difference in the way that I was cared for and loved as a person, because I could never look at those people, these children that God has blessed me with, and
Mm-hmm.
want to see them cry or want to have them questioning themselves or want to feel like they're not good enough. So love taught me to break down all of those barriers and to focus on them and to pour into them everything that I can, but to be honest and authentic about that. I don't have all the answers. I've been hurt in ways they will never understand, but I'm going to show up every day. And if I need to do things differently, I will definitely do things differently so that I can make sure that you are okay.
I love that. Now, in your journey, how do you separate responsibility from internal guilt?
That's tough. I give myself grace. I When I'm having a down moment, when I'm feeling guilty about something or that anxiety is rising and I'm questioning my behaviors or my choices, I give myself space to do that. And sometimes I'm like, "Okay, girl, you have an hour." And I will take that hour and I will ask all the questions, and then I'm like, "All right, wash your face, start over. Wash your face,
Yes.
get busy."
Yeah.
But I have to give myself grace.
I understand it because I do the same thing. When I'm mourning, or like, we grieve different things, and people think when you grieve, you're grieving a death or something, but you grieve breakups, you grieve the loss of friendships, relationships, all of those things. So when I'm grieving, you even grieve the loss of business, the failures, all of that. So when I'm grieving or going through something, I give myself a time limit. You got 7 days. That's it. You can cry for the first day. You can mope around for the first half of the second day, but you better come up with a plan or start to initiate a plan. By the third day, you can still be sitting in those feelings, but you need to understand that it's time to start coming out of those feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. So I give myself that grace. And I think that's something we all need to sort of implement into our lives.
Mhm.
You've even said that growth is not linear. What does progress look like for you right now in real life, not just theory?
Progress looks like today is a new day from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you are learning and growing, as long as you are trying, you are definitely making progress. I have a saying, once you plant a seed, it's going to grow. Whether it's
Yeah.
a positive seed or a negative seed, once you plant that seed, something's going to grow from it. Be prepared for the harvest because
Yes.
you plant it and it's going to grow.
Yes. Now, it's so funny that you talk about that. When we talk about harvest and planting seeds, let's talk about seeds that were planted in the days, in the days. What does generational healing mean to you in your home today?
Woo! Generational healing is it's tough in isolation. My
Mm-hmm.
village has pretty much burned to the ground and I've
Mm-hmm.
had to rebuild it just based on what I was gifted in my family. So generational healing looks like me asking questions before making decisions, especially things that are going to affect my children's lives. Me asking them what they would like to do rather than imposing my opinion, or letting them know that my opinion is just that. You don't have to agree with me, but this is my opinion. And we still have hard rules. We still have things that are no non-negotiables in this household, but almost everything can be talked about and almost everything can be negotiated because that's real life.
Okay. Now, what does softness mean to you? And now that you've had to survive so much, what does that look like for you?
So see that one's tough for me because a lot of people talk about the masculine energy versus the feminine energy without understanding that God is going to send you as your best self to show up for you. So if
Mm-hmm.
your best self is hard, then that is what God is going to send you as to show up for yourself and to protect yourself. So I'm learning that softness has to be a choice for me because I've always been in survival mode. So softness for me means doing those things that I like to do that are not mandatory. It
Yeah.
means drinking tea on a random Thursday out of my pretty class.
Yes.
It means splurging on lip gloss and saving on dish detergent. It
Yes.
means doing those things that I really like to do that are not mandatory, but that bring me joy and make me happy.
Now that's funny. So we talk about softness, but let's talk about the opposite, strength. How do you talk to your daughters, your children about strength without normalizing all of the pain? Because that's something we've all had to face. We get this way by going through the things that we've gone through. So how do you talk to them about that?
I always tell them there is power in your choices. Every single human in this earth has the ability to make choices. And even people who can't speak, they have the ability to make choices. You have to use your choices to be the best you that you can be every day in every kind of way. And so far, they're doing good. But I have to remind them of that every day. There is power in your choices.
I love that. Now there are power in choices, but you're choosing right now by reclaiming yourself. What parts of you feel the most restored?
I would say my beauty feels the most restored. I was humiliated as a child by my family when
Mhm.
they told me I was ugly. I was dark skinned, I was fat, I had big lips, I had nappy hair. And these are stories that I heard since I was a child, regardless if I believed them or not. That's what I was told. And then one day, as an adult, looking in the mirror and saying, I'm not believing those stories anymore. I'm beautiful because I'm choosing to be beautiful. That has definitely empowered me so much to just have confidence. I have three daughters. You can't be insecure and have three daughters. This is not a world for insecurity. You have to be firm and fierce in who you are.
I love that. Y'all heard her. You have to be firm and fierce in who you are. Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's switch gears back to your submission to the anthology. What surprised you the most about yourself after submitting your story for publication?
I think the mandate that I had to have 8,000 words surprised me the most because
Don't tell that it's not true.
I did not claim myself as a writer until after writing. I had published 3 books and never claimed myself as a writer. But when I saw my word count, I said, "Girl, you did that.
You did
You
it. You
did
did it. You did
you
it. You
did
did
that."
it.
I was
You
so
did it.
proud of myself.
And I am
And
so proud of you. So thank you for doing that. Okay.
yes.
She said I had to have 8,000 words. That's a whole book, Miss T. Okay. Don't be trying to put me out on Front Street like that. Okay.
That is a lot.
I did not make them write 8,000 words, y'all. Just so you, but I did make them write close to that. Okay. Now, here's another one that a lot of the co-writers, and I'm not going to say they're struggling with, but they're trying to come to grips with. How do you protect your peace while revisiting your past through storytelling?
Giving myself grace and understanding that I won't speak about things until I've already addressed them within myself to start the healing process. And for me, that healing process, some ways it started crying in the bathroom floor, hugging
Yes.
myself. In some ways it looked a lot different. I've had to drive to a swimming pool where I was raped twice as a child
Mm.
and speak out loud to those men who violated me and leave those tears there. So now I'm able to speak about it from a place of more information and healing because I was able to address that in a way that brought me comfort. Those men may never see jail, but for me, they did not win. Why? Because my body is filled with love and grace because I said so.
Now, I love that. And that was a message right there within itself. What else? What other messages? What do you want women reading your letter to feel by the time they are finished reading it?
I want them to feel, even if they can't become to grips with their own story and their own traumas, understand that somebody is out there waiting on them to heal. Somebody out there wants them to heal, and it might just be themselves. For
Yes.
me, for me, people are not going to come up to me and say, "Wow, I've been through the same thing," because that's trauma that other people might not be able to face within themselves first. But once you plant a seed, it's going to grow. Even if it's negative, even if you can't admit to it, it's going to grow. And they're going to go and think about that. And they're going to go resonate on that and meditate on that. And it's going to help them heal things within themselves that they may not have known needed to be healed. So I
Yes.
want them to hear me and hear the power that I've been able to accumulate since starting my healing journey and know that it's possible and there is light on the other side. There's
Yes.
joy on the other side, there's happiness on the other side, and there's plenty of love over there too.
I love that. Now, in one sentence, just one sentence, and I know this is gonna be hard because you're a wordsmith and you like poetry, and we both like to talk. How would you define healing now?
Hmm. Healing is lemonade with the perfect amount of tart and sweetness.
Ooh, I clocked that one. I clocked that one. And for those of you all who did not clock that one, you better take your lemons and turn it to lemonade. Okay.
Yes.
I love it. That one was phenomenal. What is your hope for the woman you are becoming? Not for anyone else, but just for you, Miss T.
That even the things that I'm not ready to talk about will still bring me strength to keep going.
I love that. I love it. Now, tell people what it is that you have going on in business, not just, about this anthology. Tell them where they can find you, what you have going on in business, and how they can support you while you're on this journey.
You can support me by going to my website, www.thepurpleflowersnetwork.org. Sign up for my newsletter. You can, and once you get that newsletter, it will have information about my publishing company, Aquila Publishing House. It will have information about the projects that I'm engaging in right now. I'm developing a literacy enrichment program for students, and it is interactive. It is going to get your students learning, reading, interested. We use a lot of literary connections. We use innovative approaches, and you are going to be in. Sign up for that newsletter. You get all the information about that. I have published, written, and illustrated one children's book so far. I am looking to turn that book into a stage play for elementary schools, and I am illustrating the second one right now as we speak. So head over there and you will get all the information and stay up to date with everything going on with the Purple Flowers Network.
I love it. I love it, Trisheena. I absolutely love what you have going on. Thank you for allowing us to share your story. Thank you for being on the Dear Black Woman podcast. Thank you for being a part of the Dear Black Woman Anthology project. Listen, you guys, you on June the 1st, you'll be able to pre-order your book box. I want to encourage you to go out and pre-order your book box, because there are so many phenomenal women just like Miss T who are sharing their letters, their stories, so that they can not only heal their inner child, write letters to their inner child, but heal and inspire you as well. So again, thank you so much, Miss T,
Thank
for
you for
being a part of
including
it.
me. Thank you for including me. You are doing work for the community. Yes.
No, we are doing work for the community.
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
This
It is
this is a
amazing.
this is a group project. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Listen, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast. Miss T, again, thank you for bringing your truth to this space. Your voice is steady, your insights sharp, and your growth undeniable. To our listeners, healing doesn't always come dressed in ease. Sometimes it's layered with uncomfortable and unfinished business, but it's always worth it. If this conversation moves you, we invite you to read the full letter inside the Dear Black Woman Anthology, where voices like Miss T's are honored and held with care. Follow the Dear Black Woman podcast. Share this episode with someone who needs it. And remember, your voice is sacred, your story matters, and your healing is your own. Goodbye, you guys, and enjoy your evening.